She found her dad's vintage collection under a stack of sweaters in the back of his closet. Hey, it's Mike. Thanks for tuning back in. So I've never watched Antiques Roadshow before. I'd never even heard of Simeon Lipman, who is the host or is the appraiser on this specific episode. A lot of you sent me this episode, so I figured I would cover it on Attic Find Friday here on Saturday morning. After having an Attic Find Friday, actually on a Friday for the first time in weeks, last week, I'm back to, or I guess it was the week before, I'm back to Saturday mornings. I've been working crazy hours. It's just been busy. So back to Saturday. Antiques Roadshow this past week, I guess, did an episode that they filmed last summer where a woman who seems to be nameless, they don't give any details of her whatsoever. In fact, the episode starts with her saying, "They were my dad's," or "they're my dad's." And there's no indication of whether her dad is still alive. She says, "They're my dad's." And she said that they were found in a cigar box in the back of a closet under a stack of sweaters. She says that her father loved sports and was a very tidy person. And, they never ended up in spokes. They never were played with or appeared to have been. And Simeon commented on the condition of her father's cards. He was, her father, not Simeon, 12 to 13 years old in 1948. So he would have been collecting cards, and he was storing them in this cigar box. Now, the interesting thing here is how Antiques Roadshow has them displayed. They put them up on a felt table, and they lift the table up at an angle so that they can be viewed easily by the camera, and that Simeon can point to certain things. And they're under these little things, and at the very, very end of the episode, he points out that they're magnets. He wants people to be aware that they're okay. And they probably are okay. They're ungraded, they're raw, they're not in any sort of protection whatsoever. But it's so weird to see insanely valuable collectibles sitting on a felt table, unprotected, held up by magnets. I don't know. It's strange to me. So he starts with the least valuable of the cards that are on the felt table. That is a John Wagner, also known as Honus Wagner, and most people pronounce it Honus. I have been assured that it was Honus Wagner. In fact, if you go to Baseball Reference, I think it is pronounced there as Honus. He says that Wagner is worth about $500.
Wow.
Yeah, not bad, right?
No.
He then goes to the Ted Williams cards. Williams, of course, fresh out of the war. This is his first card since the war, first major card since the war. He says that these are each worth, and there are 4 Ted Williams cards. They look a little bit like this, except they're in better condition. 4 of them, he says they're valued at $1,500 to $2,000 each.
Each. Okay.
So then he goes to Joe DiMaggio, also talks about how DiMaggio served in the war. And there are 4 of them, 4 DiMaggios as well, valued at $2,500 to $3,000 each.
So,
and he talks about the Joe DiMaggio color variation, and he doesn't spend a lot of time on it, which I think was good. PSA doesn't recognize the color variation. Collectors, not PSA's parent company collectors, but people who collect do, and will pay a bit of a premium for the color variations because they're a little bit more scarce. One of the DiMaggios is the yellow variation. Then he moves to the Stan Musial, and again, I'm going to get into this pedantic pronunciation. Like most people, Simeon pronounces it Musial, but it's not. It doesn't rhyme with usual. It's Musial. So it's more about me than it is about him or you and how you pronounce it. It's a me thing, not a you thing. He says that these Stan Musials, and there are 4 of them, go for about $3,000 each.
Each.
And it's interesting how little of a range he gives on these. He just says they're worth about $3,000 each. And it's a variety of conditions on all these cards. And as we know, they can go for a huge range of prices based on that value. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here. Then he moves to Babe Ruth. There are 6 Babe Ruths here, and he says that they are worth about $3,000 each.
Oh my God.
Right?
Okay.
You got 3.
6 48, 49 leaf Babe Ruths. Now, Simeon calls these 48 leaf. Most vintage collectors would call them 49 leaf. PSA calls them 48 leaf. I think SGC calls them 49 leaf. They were produced in 48, distributed in early 49. That's the difference here, and why some people, again, probably a little pedantic, I call them 48, 49 leaf to bridge that group, I guess. And then he goes to the Jackie Robinson. He calls it Jackie Robinson's rookie card. There are 3 of them, and he says that they are valued at $15,000 to $20,000 each.
Okay.
So these are all ungraded cards. I don't know what where he's getting his values from. Would these go for that much raw? Probably not. If you look on eBay, low-grade copies in PSA slabs, even like 2.5s, aren't even going for $10,000. So he must have assessed these as like 4s to 4.5 maybe. I'm not really sure, and said that's where he gets his value from. And I don't hear him telling her, advising her to grade the cards, authenticate the cards, send them off to PSA or SGC. He probably did, and they've just cut it for time. I hope he told her that for value, to maximize her value, but they unfortunately cut that part out, which is really interesting. And then he points to this other stack, what he calls a stack of cards. And he doesn't mention any names. He doesn't mention Phil Rizzuto, Warren Spahn's rookie card. It's just, he really minimizes to collectors these cards. And he says that they are very good cards, which is true. So he does cover that. There's no criticism of him here. It's just, they cut a lot. And I'm sure he talked about these with her privately off camera, or they just cut it out. I'm just assessing the actual very short episode that I'm watching. And then he says that for insurance purposes, he would insure it at a value of $150,000. That's pretty good, considering it's just been sitting for many, many decades in a cigar box under a stack of sweaters in the back of a closet. I want to know the backstory here. Who was her father? Is he still alive? Did he remember that he had these, or did he pass away and she just found them and didn't even know that they were there? So many questions here. She says that she's going to put them in a safe deposit box, which I think is great. She doesn't plan on selling them. She's going to store them for another time, maybe plan on selling them later or pass them down to kids if she has some. Just a great story. I mean, it's not really a story that much, but it's fun. I like this one. I appreciate everybody who sent me this one. I have more Attic Find Fridays. Actually have a bunch now after I was nearly out, so I'm really excited. And next Friday, I don't know if I'll get an Attic Find Friday out. I probably will. I have a weird day next Friday. I have a jam-packed newsletter this week, free newsletter, link in the description to this video here. I load it up with news and opinions and photos. So yeah, hopefully you go and subscribe. It's completely free. I release it every Monday morning, 6 a.m. Eastern time. That's the goal anyway. So let me know what you think about this collection. I appreciate you guys watching. Have a great weekend.